And now we want to move into talking about the sources of unemployment, or the reasons you might become unemployed. So there are several categories of sources of unemployment when you think about it. There's something we call frictional unemployment, and this is the basic, as you might say, friction of life. You know, things change. You know, something changes in your family. You have to move. You have to quit one job to move and start another job. You know, if you have a spouse that gets a promotion and you have to go with them to their new business location, you may have to quit your job before you move on. You know, you'll be unemployed in the interim. You might have a job where you're going to school, then after you graduate, you're going to quit for a while to look for a new job, be unemployed. So just that basic, you know, something's going on in life and gets in the way, and you got to leave one job, and there's some gap between when that old job ends and you get your new job. There's seasonal unemployment. You know, there are many kinds of jobs that are dictated by seasons. You know, out here, you know, ski instructors in this area, or, you know, few number of jobs of those in this region, but it's only when there's snow on the ground. When the snow melts, not a lot of call for ski instructors, so they get laid off. But that's normal. You expect that to happen. It's part of their expectation of having a job as a ski instructor is you can understand that once the snow melts, you're going to be out of work. So there's a lot of jobs out there like this. You know, if you work in the agricultural industry, you know, all the harvesting, the food processing industries, many of those things follow seasons, and so there's a lot of work to do during the harvest season, or right after the harvest season, or during the fishing season. And then when that season's over, you know, you kind of run out of things to do, and you may have to find another job for a while throughout the year if you work in something related to education, right? You know, you get busy during the school year, and you may go the summer without a job. So seasonality, okay? Induced unemployment. This is where we as a society or as a government take an action that puts people out of work. Now, not because we want to put somebody out of work, but we may decide that, okay, a certain kind of a manufacturing process or business is harmful, let's say to the environment or to the community or something of that nature, and you might do something to, you know, to tax or regulate and cause a certain number of those businesses to go under, and thus throwing those people who work there out of work. Okay, so that's, you know, we're causing unemployment because we have some greater goal in mind, and we feel that the cost of those lost jobs is just part of the price to pay for that greater goal. You know, quite often cities that are trying to sort of revitalize downtown or redevelop a quote blighted neighborhood will do things to sort of force the current businesses out of business, and of course that means everybody who works those businesses is going to lose their job, but they're doing that in the process of trying to bring in, say, better, new, more thriving businesses to replace them. Well, in the interim, you've thrown people out of work, some temporarily, some permanently. But the point is, we think it's worth it, and that's why we're doing it. The unemployment costs we don't feel are that great. There's structural unemployment. This is where something fundamentally changes in the way we do business in a certain industry or occupation, such that we don't need a certain type of worker anymore. Now, this is a little more, you know, down-to-earth examples are when we, you know, change how we manufacture cars, right? I mean, if you've ever seen pictures of car plants these days versus old-time newsreel pictures of how we build cars today, you'll notice that the current car factories have no people in them. It's all robots and machinery, versus the old-style factories that just were, you know, armies of workers sitting there doing their thing on the assembly lines. Well, as we've automated the manufacturing process, of course what you're doing is you're putting all the people who used to just sort of stand around and put parts on a car, you're putting them out of work, because we're substituting tools and machinery for people. So that means many of those types of jobs just are not needed anymore. And so that's a shift in how we do business that causes anybody with those skills to have to be unemployed for some amount of time till they either find new jobs or retire or get retrained or something like that. And then we have cyclical unemployment, which is unemployment related to the business cycle. And this is the one you hear about these days, right? When people talk about the unemployment problem we have in this country today, we're talking about a cyclical unemployment problem. So, we have frictional, means something's going on in life and you got to quit one job before you get another. We have seasonal unemployment where, we have to, quit doing something because it's no longer the appropriate time of year to do this kind of thing, and you're going to be without employment for a while. We have induced unemployment. We've taken some action to try to improve the world around us, and it's going to cause some people to lose their jobs. Now, generally speaking, we don't worry about those kinds of unemployment. We worry about structural and cyclical unemployment. The first three kinds of unemployment, either it's the nature of the job or the nature of your decision, or we feel that there's just not that many jobs at stake. Structural unemployment we sometimes will worry about if it affects a broad enough number of people or workers quickly enough. Okay, so if we have a structural change, in other words, how we manufacture cars, it sort of takes year upon year, maybe decades to finally come to fruition and cough up all these jobs. We don't get too excited about it. But when a sudden shift happens very quickly in technology that causes a whole large group of people lose their jobs all at once, we might choose to try to do something overt to help those people out to transition to new jobs. Okay, so it's not like we always do something about a structural unemployment, but sometimes we do. If it affects a large enough people, sort of quote unexpectedly enough, quickly enough, we might do something for it. Most structural unemployment, it just happens sort of naturally throughout time as we adopt new technologies and businesses evolve, and we don't worry about it. So our main focus about unemployment deals with cyclical unemployment. And this is the unemployment that comes about simply because the economy slows down and we don't need as many people building cars, cooking meals in restaurants, or what have you. There's no fundamental change going on. It's not the nature of these careers. It's just we're in a recession. A lot of people lost their jobs all of a sudden. So that gets our focus, and predominantly that is the source of unemployment that we only really worry about on an ongoing basis, and that is the true cost of a recession is a high level of unexpected unemployment that's not sort of derived from one of these other sources.